Today I fucked up by banking it all on being bicurious. Edit. I'm a male. Should have been more clear. So this foo came to a head yesterday, but has been years in the making. I went to a Jewish school all my life as a kid, and was taught being gay was wrong. However, when I get to high school I went to a public school for the first time and got into a bunch of weird stuff. I had always known I was attracted to girls, but in high school I got into weird cartoon and hentai porn, and that kinda morphed my sexual preferences a bit. This is where the fuck up began. LMAO. Come senior year of high school I was an adult and I started venturing out sexually. I hooked up with a couple women and confirmed that yeah, I liked women, but I would always think back and say I am curious about trying things with a man, but I never had the guts to. When I was 20 I got into a very healthy and good relationship with an adventurous and wonderful bisexual girl, and she told me about discovering her bisexuality, how it's not hard and how maybe one day I should embrace it. Well, that's fuck up too. She knew I was submissive, so she helped prepare me, she helped nair me and shaved my legs and ass for me. She put me in her yoga classes and helped me work out more to get to my weight goal, and when the time came to try we downloaded Grindr and immediately found our target. A guy who was my age and super attractive. This was it. Spoiler alert. I hated every moment of it. The guy was super sweet and understanding, but kissing him was just gross and sparkless. I didn't find him attractive at all, and the one thing I was looking forward to the most. Holding a dick in my hand and sucking it. Just was terrible. LMAO. I hated it and left early, and thankfully the guy was super understanding and so was my girlfriend. Where I fucked up is, real life is not hentai. People smell, people sweat and have body hair, sex can hurt and just be unenjoyable. And just because you can enjoy fictional porn of the same gender, does not mean the same gender will be that attractive IRL. I'm starting porn addiction therapy next week and my girlfriend is currently on the couch with me helping me ice pack my sore jaw. Too long did not read. Thought I was bisexual because I liked trap hentai. Turns out I am not. Edit. No, I didn't want to fuck a trap, I wanted to be the trap. And also I think I'm just a switch straight guy. And I know it may not sound like a fuck up, but I strained my own very nice relationship for a bit and spent months to try something that I was only into because I saw it in fictional porn. That's less trying something out, and more I put my life on pause so I could try to become a trap, and then after all that I didn't like it. Sore jaw? That shows some real enthusiasm. Dude. Most people would stop after they hated the kiss. You just kept going like maybe I'll like the next part. Oh man, I'm really sorry for you and I'm honestly glad that you were surrounded by people you could trust and feel safe with. I still couldn't help but chuckle at your disgust. Even when you do feel attracted to the other person, oral sex definitely isn't for everyone. But hey, at least you know now what you like. I personally see that as a win. No fuck up. You tried something, you learned a lot about yourself and now you are making changes. I call that a massive freaking win. Today you are a better person than you were yesterday. When I was a kid and my dad found me looking at porn on the internet, he really only wanted me to learn one thing. Porn is nothing at all like real life. And he was right. I've gotten off to some fucked up porn but would not be interested in that in real life. The two things aren't the same, and what kind of porn you get off on really means nothing to your sexuality or preferences. At least it's only your jaw that's sore. Watched hentai, tried gay sex. Tale as old as time. Hentai watcher moment. Today I fucked up by eating shrooms at high elevation. This happened a few days ago but I'm just getting a chance to write about it. So my friend and I were in Colorado and decided it would be cool to eat some shrooms and go to Rocky Mountain National Park on a beautiful sunny day. We had to fly out later that evening so we got an early start. Grabbed some breakfast sandwiches about 9 and we were gonna make shroom tea, but just decided to eat them straight to make it easier. Now, I'm pretty experienced at this, though she isn't, so I knew how to dose us properly, at sea level. But we were already at about 7,500 feet above sea level. Mistake number 1. Anyway, so I realize as we're eating them, on an empty stomach by the way, that I had actually brought enough for 3 doses, so we've got extra. However, I really didn't want to fly back with them and our last trip on these same shrooms had been pretty mild. I remind her of this and she says, fuck it, let's just finish them off. Mistake number 2. So we've got roughly an hour to get into the park, find a nice place to sit and trip and look at beautiful things and eat our breakfast, and then time to come down before leaving to go catch our flight. Solid plan, right? So we enter the national park and we're driving further up into the mountains when the shrooms start to hit, early and very hard. So I quickly find a place to park and there's a cool little ridge we can walk out onto to get a great view of the valley. Not a steep or sheer ridge, but a good vantage point. So we decide to make the roughly 200-yard walkover, mistake number 3. Now, I've been drunk and high in the mountains before, so I should know about doses and altitude and AMs. But we'd already been there a day and I was so excited about shrooms in a national park that it completely slipped my mind. By the time we'd walked to the overlook, we are both realizing how hard we're tripping. Total disassociation. The world is a watercolor painting and we're floating in it. Our stomachs feel weird, heads feel light, and we're out of breath. Most intense body high I've ever had. So we have a sit down and actually enjoy the view. But at this point we're both like, I want this to end. And I love shrooms, so for me to be like, I'm over this shit, is a strong indication of how intense it was. Luckily, my experience, both with shrooms and elevation, finally kicks in and I work to keep us calm and positive and suggest we walk slowly back to the car. It's a tough walk though, in our state. Took way longer than it needed to and we couldn't see the car, so I'm worried about getting lost now. I'm also worried about bears and mountain lions and moose as well. And every movement of a bird or leaf is freaking me out, but it's just in my head. Stay calm and don't freak her out. At one point she snaps a picture of a bright green moving bush. We looked later. It was just a plain-ass brownish-green shrub. She says, I just took my hand out of my pocket and it doesn't feel or look like it's attached to me. Just keep walking, I say. She's tripping hard. So am I. My feet don't feel attached. I'm somehow floating and stumbling simultaneously. There's no cell reception and I realize we aren't getting better until we get below 8,000 feet. It's not just the drugs. So we get to the car and the urge to just sit there and nap is strong. And I know I'm not in the best shape to drive, but we have to descend. We have to. Napping is not a good idea. So we wait for 0 cars and start moving at a snail's pace down the mountain. 4 eyes on the road. 5 miles per hour. Complete focus. Pulling into turnouts regularly and whenever there's any other car on the road. After about 15–20 minutes we start feeling better. Time and elevation are finally starting to work for us. So we pull off and give ourselves some time to come down some more before going further and eat, finally. Anyway, by the time we get back to Estes Park, we're much better and I realize the mistake we made. I'm actually not really sure how much danger we were in, from a health standpoint. It's hard to tell because there was certainly a ton of shroomy anxiety at play too. But please learn from our fuck up and be super careful about shrooms at high elevation. Really, any drugs for that matter. Cheers. Too long did not read. Got super trippy and got elevation sickness. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. One of the very few posts on this sub I sat there and read with real interest. On another note, glad it worked out for you. Planning to have to drive, period, let alone in the mountains, is really an unnecessary risk to yourselves and other drivers. I love tripping myself, but operating heavy machinery under that influence is, so dangerous. And to have to make a flight? Y'all crazy. Irresponsible is an understatement. Sorry you had that experience and I hope it serves as a valuable lesson. Hi. As a Coloradan, I'd appreciate it if you'd stay the fuck out of our state until you gain some common sense. There are many of us who put a lot of time, effort, and money into decriminalizing recreational drugs here, and your lack of consideration is very insulting. This kind of behavior is harming, not helping our cause. You seem contrite about overdoing it on the shrooms under those conditions, but the driving up and down the mountain while under the influence is really uncool. It's great you took precautions and went slow and all, but this was an irresponsible plan. Got high while high. You were driving while fucked up and could have seriously hurt, killed yourself or someone else. Those roads are steep as fuck. I hope that you learned from your mistake, but that was manslaughter levels of irresponsibly. This is similar to posting, I got too drunk to drive but did it anyway. Lol. Yo. I'm all for recreational party helpers, but you gotta use your head here op. 1. RMNP is a 2-hour from Denver Airport, without traffic. And you have to be there early. So unless you had like a 10 p.m. flight, you were going to be driving under the influence back to the airport. Taking a dose and a half almost guaranteed you a +6, 8-hour shroom trip, even at sea level. 2. If you were an hour from the park, you should have taken your dose closer to the park or as you drove in. 3. Why would you get in the car at peak trip? After saying this was the most intense body high you ever had. Come on, man. 4. There is nothing wrong with napping. Set a damn alarm and watch clouds for a few hours. That wasn't elevation sickness, you were just tripping too hard and having anxiety about it. The only danger was the danger you put yourself and others in by driving while tripping hard. We've all made awful mistakes while fucked up, but it's a bit worrying that you don't really seem to understand how bad that was. TIFU by going out on a date with the guy that works at the convenience store. Obligatory, this happened yesterday. I really fucked up. Yesterday I went on a date with the guy that works at convenience store. I knew this would be a mistake, but I have a hard time saying no. I go to the convenience store almost every day to buy cigarette. I'm not a very social person. I like to keep this type of relationship minimal, like hello, thanks, goodbye kind of exchanges. At first he was like this too, which made me really happy. I don't want to lose time in small talks. I mostly go there because it's near where I work at and I'm always running late. Then as time went by, he started to put the cigarettes on the counter without even asking for them, which I founded cute in a way. He started asking where I worked at, what was my name etc. At first I was okay with that. I mean, I'm not some sort of Grinch, so after all. Then he started to really have full-on conversations with me, talking about life and whatever. I started to hate it. I just want to buy cigarettes, I don't want to know your life story. Yesterday he asked me to go out. I freaked out and in the rush of the moment I said yes. I knew in that moment it was a mistake. The date was awful, he even puked because he drank too much. He started to make projects for our second date. I tried my best to make him hate me, being obnoxious or whatever. I even ordered 3 Negroni to scare him away. But no, he just was really into me. After I went home he sent me a good night text thanking me for his awesome date, to which I did not reply. Today he sent me a text telling me that he was working all day, hoping to see me, to which I still didn't reply. Today I took a different route to work, which is longer, and went to another convenience store. I fucked up. Too long, did not read. I went on an awful date with the guy that works at convenience store near the place I work at, and now I have to take a different route to go to work. Sorry for my English. When you go back to the store, tell him you are your twin sister Justin from Iowa. That's real drunk confidence there, planning a second date after puking on the first. Jesus, lady, grow some balls. Why not just text him that you appreciated the date but feel the two of you aren't a match? Wouldn't you appreciate such a courtesy? Sounds like a great reason to quit smoking. Op cheeky smiley face. Australian language warning. Grow a fucking spine and use your words like an adult. You probably should tell him you're not interested. Ghosting can be incredibly painful for anyone. Today I fucked up by leaving my vibrator on my office desk in full view of my colleagues. Posting from my not safe for work account, for obvious reasons. I have had my Lalo vibrator for nearly 7 years now, and I am very, very fond of it. It gets used about 3 times a week on average. I'm F44. But recently I noticed it started making a grinding noise and cutting out every so often, so I figure, well, I wore that one out, time for an upgrade. So I bought myself a new Lalo, the GG2 in pink, if anyone is interested. But obviously still had the old one. Now I am a responsible, ethical human being and I recycle. How does one recycle a vibrator? I asked myself. Well, I work in a large hospital, and the obvious solution appeared to be smuggle it into work and dispose of it in the waste electric equipment bin. This is used by the entire hospital and no one would ever know it was me even if they noticed. So I stick it in my tote bag, and off I go to work. This was Tuesday. We are about to move offices, and the movers were coming in yesterday, Wednesday, to get the boxes and so on, leaving the desks etc. to later in the week. So as with all moves I spent the whole day packing stuff up and completely forgot to put the vibe in the waste bin. It wasn't until I got home that I realized it must have fallen out of my bag. There were a number of places it could be: the bus, the locker in the gym, the cafe I went to at lunchtime. I wasn't too worried about any of those places. They were all busy and none of them would connect a random vibrator with me. But what if? Now while some of my colleagues, and the movers, were told to come in yesterday, I was told to WFH so I wasn't in the way, so I couldn't go in and check without getting unwelcome questions. I spent the whole of yesterday in a panic, and came in this morning to find my vibe sitting proudly right smack in the middle of my desk. It was in its pouch, but anyone who knows anything about sex toys will have known what it is. Also, there is a Sprite bottle I never drank from sitting right next to it, So someone had a Sprite and then left the bottle next to my sex toy, so I would imagine they saw it. List of people who could have seen my vibe. My direct manager. My senior manager. 4 or 5 movers from maintenance. We have our own in-house system, and I know these guys, so it's not like I'll never see them again. Also, at least one of them is quite hot, so guess I've lost my chance of scoring. Or maybe increased it. Who knows? My senior colleague who looks and acts like Mr. Tits Pervert from Bridget Jones. So yeah, I am currently sitting around waiting for the HR call. Go me. TLR. Wanted to dispose of my broken vibrator responsibly. Ended up leaving it on my desk in an open-plan workplace for an entire day. Yikes. Sorry. Maybe it won't be too bad. Hopefully, you'll just be told to get off early today. Righteous indignity? Who left this on my desk? If I find out who did this, I'm going to HR. How disgusting. I'm throwing this in disposal. I ordered a bondage bundle to work, because there's always somebody to take a parcel, wasn't due for a few weeks. I'd also ordered some super cute craft stuff, due within a few days. My day off rolls around, I get a message from a colleague saying my craft stuff arrived. So excited me says, OMG, open it and show me. And this ended how you'd expect XD. It's the 2N2222NPN transistor that's failed. The circuit board has room for 2 transistors working in parallel, but the company only installs one out of hilarious cheapness. Pick up a couple 2N2222s and solder them in, you'll get years more service out of your vibrator. If anyone says anything, just play dumb. Found it in the hallway and we're gonna throw it away. You never imagined it was anything else. So you're hoping no one caught your vibe? That's quite the vibe check. I'm sure it didn't create that much of a buzz at the office.